You all remember that song, Family Reunion. The OJs, every family plays that song. Why? That song has meaning. It tells us about our old folks, how they passed us down to our young folks. So I don't care whether you sing the song, you all like the song because that song has some meaning to it. That's why I like that song there. Not that I like the young song, but that song is a church song. When you hear that song, you think about my granddaddy was here, he's no longer here. My grandmama was here, he's no longer here. When we started this family reunion. And then here we are right now, this generation, carry that family reunion on. So when they sing that song, made this song, I said, that's a song right there. I think for most every family reunion, before they end, they gonna play that song. We have a family reunion. And then I didn't stop there. I went just a little bit further. And I looked through the Bible, and this is what I found in my song. It says, the book of Psalms is the middle of the Bible, and that's nothing about song. Then I put a little further, and said, Mark 4:26, when Jesus and the disciples got ready to go up to the Mount Olivet, what did they do? They sung and they prayed. But then, I thought about the man who just passed me. Leave. What did he say? What happened? Here we go. It says, Acts 16:25. At what time was it? It was a midnight hour. Who sung and prayed at the midnight hour? Paul and Silas. What did they do? They sung and they prayed. When was it? It was at the midnight hour. What Lee Williams said, at the midnight hour, they sung and prayed. I thought that was really good. They sung and prayed. So you see how we give God the message of how we sing. God wants us to sing. He wants us to give the praise there. Now, if you like me, I can't sing a beat. I tell my wife, I sing 50 songs into one. Because I don't even know one complete song. That's why I don't get quiet. I just love singing. But what I like about it, you may not like my singing, but however I sing, you like it. God like it. God like it. You don't care whether I carry a note or not. They told me I could even carry a tune in the book. You know, but that's okay. As long as God knows what I'm coming. And where it's coming from, it's coming from my heart. So I don't care. My wife is saying, oh, I start on one song and one over, but I sung 3 songs in one. And don't even have all together. So she just laughed at me, but I stopped singing. I tell her, it deep as in my heart. It got to be my heart because I don't know one song. I don't even try to sing. I was in the choir and did not sing. I was just in the choir. I didn't try to learn. I didn't care about learning. I was just in the choir. What I did like was music, but I didn't care about singing. So don't worry about me getting up in the choir singing because I don't sing. But what I can do, I can do what God wants me to do. And that's for my heart when I sing. And then, that went on. I thought about it. Since we into this song, celebrating with the song, I think that we're going to begin with the song. And listen to the song we're going to begin with, just a little. I sing because I'm happy. I sing because I'm free. Oh, life is on the sparrow. And Lord, you watches me. I believe the Hebrews would say the same thing. I know that he's watching over me. If he can watch over a little sparrow, I believe that he's watching over me. That song goes all the way back there. All you got to remember, it's not about the words sometimes. It's about what's the meaning in those words when it said that. And we begin this morning where it says, the deeds of God. What are you talking about? We're talking about God's goodness. We're talking about to always remember God. Like I said, I remember God through his love, through his strength, and through all his will. All this comes from God. You're talking about God's deeds. Think about the deeds of God. As we begin this thing this morning, remember, this here began with the 3rd stanza of Moses' song. 2 already. So this is the 3rd stanza of that song. What were they doing? They were celebrating. Why would they celebrate? We're going to find out. Let's see what it says. Can I get a read it here?
Like unto me, O Lord, along with God, who is like thee, glorious, holy, fearful in praise, Lord wonderful.
Look what he says. Moses asked the question again, who is like thee? What he said, there's no one like thee. All the idols they worship, there's no one like thee. So he began with a question, but it's more as a Exclamatory mean that you want to show expression, you showing feeling. So Moses showing feeling right now. He said, "Who is like thee?" There's not one. Can we contest to that? There's no one like God. No one. No matter what you say and what you do, there's no one like God. So that's the question Moses answered. Who is like thee? You can't find no one. You remember they worship all those idol gods? You remember when Aaron, when they built that statue, that calf, and they gonna worship that calf? You remember all that good stuff there? But Moses said, there is not one. I don't care who you worship, there is not one like you. When he said in that verse right there. And then, look what it said in verse 3.
Thou stretchest out thy right hand, the earth swallowed them.
Look what happened. Thou stretching out thy right hand, and the earth swallowed them. Look what he's talking about, the power of God. Who ever seen something happen like this? When he stretched out, what happened? The water divided. Not only did the water divide, what happened then? They walked in on what kind of dry land. They walked in. But look what it said. The earth swallowed them. Who did the earth swallow? Pharaoh on. Here they come in their chariot and they put running behind them. By the time they got in there, look what happened. After they got across, it just swallowed them up. It was not for them. God was protecting his own. How do you know that? Well, when they got out there, during the daytime, he protected them with a what? A cloud. At night, he protected them with what? Fire. How God protected his people. We talk about God people now. We're not talking about just anybody. These was God people. Can you imagine how God protected them all? That's why I say swallow them up. Them folks, he just swallowed them up. And what did the last one tell us?
Thou in thy mercy hast led forth the people which thou hast redeemed. Thou hast guided them in thy strength unto thy holy habitation.
Look what happened. In God's mercy, he led those people. The people that he had redeemed. Who are the people he redeemed? Those were the people that he redeemed folks. Not only did that, then it says, the last part of giving the word back, it says to the holy habitation. What was the holy habitation? That was that promised land that God had promised them. He led them through that. Look what happened, how God led his folk. You know, when you enter the Lord, God gonna lead you and he gonna direct you. All you got to do is just get into the Lord and believe. I just can't help saying, believe, trust, and have faith. Those people, they had to do that there. Look what happened. They had been captive for 400 years. Can you imagine? 400 years in slavery. Then, you know, I kind of thought about it. We talk about singing and then slavery. It made me thought about the civil rights movement. When Dr. King and his mom, what was song they were saying? I'm not gonna let nobody turn me around. Isn't that right? That's what Dr. King them said. So what were they doing? They were singing and they were mocking. What were they doing right here? They were singing to the Lord. Give God your praises. Song. If you can't sing like me, just get out there. Whatever you sing, God will hear you. If you sing in the congregation, who knows how you sing, what key you in? Just sing. Open your mouth and sing. But some of us won't even do that. I can't sing. Yes, you can. Open your mouth and just sing. If your neighbor don't like what you sing, just get up. I'm going to sing the same because what? God has been what? Good to me. I know he's been good to me. That's what he's saying right here. Those folks there, they knew God had been good to them because they've been captive for 100 years, 400 years down in slavery. So don't tell me what God can't do. When God made a way for you, he made a way for these people and they said, we're going to celebrate. We're going to celebrate through singing. So that's what this verse tells us all about right there. But it's holy habitation there. Say he's going to get them to the promised land. Then, as I'm getting read, I read Hebrews 12 and 29. It says, now look at faith. In the Old Testament, by faith, they passed through the Red Sea. What happened by faith now? Then you stretch it out. And by faith, you go through the Red Sea. Hebrews tells us that. Then it said, it came by dry land, which is Egypt, when they are settled there, what happened? It came right back together. Look what God can do. God can do what no other can do. He split the water. Can you imagine seeing water on both sides and you walking on dry land? You know it's supposed to be wet right there. But God, what he did, he made a way, what they said, out of what? Nowhere. God can make a way out of nowhere. Just when you think that you're back against the wall, who comes in? God comes in. Right in your life right now. When you think that you can't go no further, God will step right in. That's what he did right here. He stepped in and he made a way for those people. And here's a question for you. The question says, when you witness the deed of God, how do you react? How should you react do the two matter. When you witness something God has done for you, how do you react? Joy, praise, happiness. All this come together. Speechless, blessed. Because the thing that God do, we don't understand. But we know He does. So that's how you react to that. You just get excited about the things that God do. When I went through my sickness, I got excited when God got through with me. Rose got excited when God get through you. All you got to do is just what? Let God have His way. When you let Him have His way and you step out of the way, God will show you where you need to be. But what we're going to do, we want to be God. We want to step in. You need to let God do His thing. If God do His thing, you step back and take your thing out of the way. Don't do your thing. Let God do His thing now. And that's what happened right here with that question. How do you react? You react all my blessing. Lord, I thank you for bringing me home. You didn't have to do it because I remember just yesterday we buried somebody that I worked with, but here I am today. You remember somebody probably dead, and look at you today, and you still here. So can't you say thank you, Lord? You know, when you come in that church door this morning, you should have said thank you, Lord. I praise the Lord because what happened? He didn't have to do it, but He did, didn't He? He let me sit right here today. Think about those people in your order. They have no lights. They have no water. And some of them said, it may be a whole month. Can you imagine? But look what God can do. And look what it did to us. So that's how we react. We praise God for every moment that we have. And I have something to say on that. The deeds of God. Think about God's deeds. Here we go. The second part says, the dread of our God. Now this is bad. When you're not into God, you're going to dread God. Because you need to fear God. This is what that dread means. They need to fear God. Right here, those people there, they going to fear God. Because they know what God did. Could nobody do it for God? We talking about the Hebrews, what God done to them, what He showed to them. He let them walk through. Could nobody do God? So they had the God on their side. The people we about to read out some of them, they fear God because they remember when it happened. Let's see, read it. What we got? 14. Read it.
The people shall hear and be afraid. Sorrow shall take hold of the inhabitants of Palestina.
Look what happened. It said, those people, when they heard about God, this was 40 years, and they heard about what God did. What did He do? He parted the sea and let His people do what? Walk through. 40 years, they heard about that. What did that do? That put fear in them. What's saying? Those Hebrew people, you better leave them alone. Why should I leave them alone? Because they got God on their side. How do you know that? They got to the river. Stretched out His arm, and the river what? Hot. And they walked through on dry land. But what's the catch up? Yeah, Pharaoh army got there. But what happened? They got drowned. When He closed the sea back up. Isn't that the power of God? Couldn't nobody do that for God. So that's what these people right here said. They dread it. They fear God. And what the next one tells us, really?
Then the dukes of Edom shall be amazed. The mighty men of Moab surely shall take hold upon them. All the inhabitants of Canaan shall melt away.
Now, when you look at the Duke of Edom, it says what happened there, they don't fear God. They knew what happened there. Now, when you think about how they was fearing God, Moses said, but tell them what happened at the Red Sea, how the enemies of God. Then when you think about the Duke of God, they heard about what had happened. So they fear God. Let you know you need to fear God. Because that's God right there. Your God that you build over here, when you get out and pray to Him, you say, your God have no eyes. Your God have no ears. But when I pray to my God, He got the eyes, He got the ears, and He hears me. That's what we're saying about it right now. The dukes, even dukes know that. And they were amazed. What were they so amazed about? Amazed about what God did. He parted the Red Sea. That's the duke. These people said, it's amazing what God did. They what? They wasn't there. But what happened? They heard about it. You see how the word spread about it? They weren't there, but they heard what God had done. And by them hearing what God had done, that put fear in their heart. What the second Bible tells about that. So it says they were afraid of them. Isn't that something? Just afraid of those armed people. Because those people had somebody with them. What He said, if you stand still, I'll do what? I'll fight your battle. So that's all they had to do. Trust, believe, and have faith. And just stand still and watch. What Moses said, stand still and watch the what? The salvation of the Lord. That's all they had to do. What happened to their salvation? The seed was popped. Look at the next one. Read what we got.
Fear and dread shall fall upon them. By the greatness of thy arm they shall be as still as stone. Till thy people pass over, O Lord, till the people pass over, which thou hast purchased.
Now here are some bad people right here. But what happened? When the people got there, they got just like stone. What did that mean? They were so humble. They was quiet. They did not stop. Why? Because they had God on their side. And not only that, they got the food and went on. They didn't even stop getting the food. They said the purchase was their food they got there. They couldn't even stop. They was afraid. They was afraid of the Hebrew God. Because that God I worship, he done done nothing. But the God that they serve, look what he had done. So I'm going to be out of my way. You don't have to do nothing. Just stand still and watch what happens. And they just march right on through that city. There's some bad folks they want to do. But those bad folks become scared. Because the Hebrew, he said, those bad folks come, they were scared because the Hebrew had somebody on their side. It wasn't an idol God. It was the what? The coach said it's the what? It's the real thing. They had the real thing on their side. They had God with them. And all they had to do was just stand back, relax, and let God do his thing. How many of us stand back and let God do his thing? Do we do our thing and expect God to do it? When you stand back and let God do his thing, no matter what it is, if it's sickness, just stand back. If it's devil, just stand back. All you got to do is just stand back and let God have his way. That's what happened right here. They got out of the way. And those folks got so scared that they let them go on through. When you let God have his way, people gonna get back to you. Because they know you got who with you. You got God. You don't have to do nothing. But all you got to do is what to do. Dig at this point. All we have to do is just keep on what? Keep on praying. We don't stop praying. When you keep praying, God gonna heal that prayer. Just keep on praying. Never stop. It says, prayer without ceasing. Never stop. I can imagine those folks back there, how they was praying, how they was celebrating. This thing this morning says, celebrate with the sun. Isn't it something? When we come in that door, we ought to celebrate with the sun. You ought to have a song in your heart that you know what God done for you this week. Look what he done for you this week. You brought right back in what we were last night. Who did that? Who did it? God did it. Couldn't nobody do it but God. I couldn't do it. Who woke you up this morning? Nobody but God. So when you got God on your side, you just stand back and let him do his thing. Let him fight you back. Those people that realize the Hebrew, they have God on their side. So we're going to step back and let them come on through. On their own, in this way. Bad folks. And here comes the other Hebrew, run on through there. And then, there's a question. Read about that, have to say. Well, the question says, what impact does the knowledge that God's enemies fear him have on those who trust God? What impact that God's enemies fear him? Why? Why would they fear God? They hadn't seen it. Why would they fear? They believe, the enemy believe that that's God. But do you believe that's God? They fear that God. You know, they talk all that stuff. But listen when something come on TV. Whenever something come on TV, they always put it. Well, you know who protect us. God protect them. God protect them. They know there's a God. Even your enemy know there's a God. But all you got to do is know that you know there's God. When you know there's God, don't worry about what somebody else hears. You worry about yourself and know that there's God. Because he's going to always protect you. How do you know it? God is not present. What does that mean? He's with you when? All the time. Even in your wrong, who is right there? God is right there. God is not that power. He got all that power. He has it all right there. Those people, they know that. Now, we know that there. That's the question. Then the second part said, do you think it's encourage humility or arrogance? Support and explain your answer. Do you think it's humility when you humble yourself? Or is that some of these arrogant folks that I'm not going to bow down to nobody? What do you think? Is it humility? It's best to humble yourself. How did Jesus do? He was humble. So if we're going to follow Christ, what are we supposed to do? Humble ourselves. No matter how they talk about me, what am I going to say? That's okay. You got to what? Humble yourself. You're going to do like the arrogant people. What did they do? I'm going to come back on you. What is it? I got the last word. You know, I heard that and I thought about it. People say, I have the last word. Really? But when you think about it, who has the last word? God. But before God, who has the last word on this earth? Who has the last word on this earth? When you leave him, who got the last word? The preacher. What does it say? Ashes to ashes, dust to dust. Is that the last word? So once you say, I got the last word, you don't have the last word. You know, I got to say something. You don't have to say something. Because the preacher going to say the last word over you. Am I right or wrong about that? So remember that, folks, when you're talking about, I got to say the last word. No, you don't. The last word is said by the preacher. Got to say the last word? Okay. But she realized that. No, you don't. The preacher gonna say the last word. So think about that. Ashes to ashes and dust to dust. Can you come back and say, preacher, don't say that. I'm too late. That's the last word. So I always got something to say. I don't care what somebody says, I got to come back. That's an average. You just said you're wrong right now. Because the preacher gonna say the last word over you. So you need to stop that. I got to say the last word. It doesn't work like that. Women's are me. Think about it. That's just something I throw out there. I heard people say that, and I realized that's not true. The preacher got the last word. All right. Anybody else got something to say on that phone about the arrows and humility? That's what you got to do. Humble yourself just like Christ did. That's what he wants us to be as Christians. He wants us to be humble. We don't have to fight because what he said, I will fight your battle. So if God can fight my battle, why should I get in the way? Just let him fight your battle. Here, that's what happened there. Well, in the last one, the last one said, dwelling of our God. Look what happened. God, a dwelling of our God. We got these folks, these people here. They realize when you read this and go back to the beginning, it's talking about the same thing. Look what we got right here. Verse 17, read it overhead.
Thou shalt bring them in and plant them in the mountain of thine inheritance, in the place, O Lord, which thou hast made for thee to dwell in the sanctuary, O Lord, which thy hands have established.
Look what it tells you. When you get there, this is a song they sing. When we get there to this mountain of our inheritance, what is that? That was the promised land. He promised this to Abraham. This is the promised land. When you get there in this mountain here, then you're going to have a sanctuary. Build your sanctuary right there. And give God all the things. What are they doing? They're giving God the things because they had been captive for 400 years, and they come out of that 400 years, and look what happened. So they got a reason to thank God. Think about us. We are not free. We think we're free. We was captive. How many years were what? 200 some years when they captured us, the slave. 200 some years. We felt some of the, we did, but our ancestors felt some of the same thing that the Hebrew people did. What it says? You know, I like the song. David said they stood over him with what? I know you folks. Come on now. David said they stood over me with the what? With the whip. You remember that song? Come on, blue folks. I know you back in the whip. But he said they stood over him with a whip. What happened? They whipped the Hebrews, didn't they? Then they turned around, then they whipped our ancestors. What did they have? They have. When you didn't do right, what did they do? They whipped you with a whip. So this is the same thing. It's no different. We've been slaves for 200 years. Are you free now? No, you're not free. Will you ever be free? When you leave this earth, that's when you begin to get free. Right now, you're still under control. You know, I always tell people, the things they do now is just a little cover. It makes you feel good, but when you look through it, it's no different. We just like we were back in 1964. Our rights, what rights do you have? You don't have no rights. They tell you that, but look what happened. Your rights. Soon you come somewhere, come up to about your rights, what rights you got? You have no rights. But they tell you, oh, I'm doing much better now. Yeah, some things we are, but some things that we just like we were back there 15 years ago. Nothing changed. But there's one somebody that never changed. Who is that? God never changed. That same God was back there, he's here us today. That same God, he changes not. But we changed that. Look what God does. Look how he brought us. And then, look at the next one. I like 18. What is that 18?
The Lord shall reign forever and ever.
Now, what is Moses talking about now? He's talking about the future. He said he's going to reign when? Forever and ever. So what did that tell me? There's no end. There's no end. God will always be here. God will always be there. There's no end in God. But what is it? You got to get into God in order to have that no enemy. Because God is still going to be here. When he come back, we got to be ready. Last week we talked about that new body. That's what this all right here. Moses tell them. No end to what God can do. We know there's no end. Because God can do it. If he said it, he can do it. And what's the next one tell us, Ruth?
For the horse of Pharaoh went in with his chariots and with his horsemen into the sea. And the Lord brought again the waters of the sea upon them. But the children of Israel went on dry land in the midst of the sea.
Look where we read in the beginning. The same thing. He come back with another stanza of the song here. In the beginning. It says, for the horses of Pharaoh went in. Remember we said they went in. They thought they could do the same thing. But what happened? The water. They drowned. The water came right back in. That verse right there tells us about that. They went into the water thinking they could do it, but the children of Israel, they walked on dry land. Just can you imagine that? You know when you see the water, what happened to water? There's movement. But what it says right here, they went on what kind? Dry land. What is that? Just think about it. You see that water on both sides. Use your imagination. You see water on both sides, you're way up there, and you just walking on foot. What did that tell me? You got to have what? Faith. You got to have faith that water gonna stay right where it is. They had faith. Moses was leading them. He was leading them to the promised land. Even though the Bible tells us he didn't get there, but he led them. That's what we got to do. You may not get there with me, but all you got to believe that I'm gonna get there. Abraham, he told him, I promise you, he gave him that promised land. And what happened? They got there. They went on to that promised land. Remember that. And they went on and tried. But what happened to Pharaoh? He came right back to Pharaoh. Look what the next verse tells us. Read it.
And Miriam, the prophetess, the sister of Aaron, took a timbrel in her hand, and all the women went out after her with timbrels and with dances.
Did you see something strange about that 20? Did anybody see something strange about that 20? What he said? The sister of Aaron. Did that kind of make you think a little bit? Why is that? The sister of Aaron. Why the sister of Aaron? Well, he didn't say Moses. You remember Aaron, Moses, and Miriam, they was brothers and sisters. But look what it said, the sister of Aaron. Think about it. What happened to Moses? When he was 2 years old, what was he at? He was in Pharaoh's house. Why? He was in a basket. In that basket, he raised up in what? Pharaoh's house. Think about it. So what it's saying right here, well, I know Moses is my brother, but then I was raised up with who? I was raised up with Aaron. So that makes me feel more close to Aaron, where it says, what did that verse tell us? The sister of Aaron. It didn't even mention Moses. He didn't mention it. Who is talking right here? This is Moses talking. But he didn't say my sister and Aaron's sister. He said what? The sister of Aaron, because they were raised together. How were they raised? They were raised as slaves. How was Moses raised? Moses was raised as a king. You know, he had it going for him, but they wasn't. So they felt like, well, I know that's my brother, but then I also know that we wasn't raised together. You know, some people feel the same way. That's my sister. On my daddy's side, my brother's side, we wasn't raised. And some people raised together. Their grandma raised this child, and somebody else raised this child, so they don't feel like they're brother and sister. In our life right now, my wife and I, we raised our granddaughter. Her brother really don't feel like that's a sister, because we raised her from zero birth. We had her. I always talk about, well, you had this, you did that. Why? Because they wasn't raised together. This is what Moses said about him. I wasn't raised with them. That's why I'm gonna say Aaron's sister. When I read that, I said, what's that? What's that Aaron's sister? But you know, Moses and Aaron was brothers. So he didn't include himself that he said Aaron's sister. And then when you read that, Miriam was the first prophetess of the Bible. She was the first one. And what I like about it, it said she got her tambourine. Look at her. What was she doing? She was praising the Lord with her tambourine. Why was she praising the Lord? Because we've been captive for how many years? 400 years in slavery. Now we're about to see freedom. So we're going to praise the Lord how joyful things are. When God do something for us, what are we supposed to do? Praise the Lord. And then what I read about it there, it says, when she praised the Lord, the people came back. The women came back. Look what this verse right here tells us. 21, what it tells us about this?
And Miriam answered them, Sing ye to the Lord, for he had triumphed gloriously. The horse and his rider had he thrown into the sea.
Now, when I read that, what that told me that Mary was doing a solo part. You know, she did the solo part, and everybody else came behind her. You know how we sing, and somebody else come behind her? Mary was the solo part. She singing, and they echo with her singing. How she with a tambourine. She letting folks know that I am glad what God done for us. Somebody have to take the lead. You know, you got to be a leader somewhere. So Myron was the leader right here. She took the lead, and everybody else followed her. Wasn't that a hell of a time? How you can celebrate how good God is. How you work and what God did. We were slaves, but look how he let us walk through on dry land. I'm going to celebrate that thing. I don't care how sick I am. I'm going to celebrate that thing. Because I know if I just keep on living, God going to bring me through. Right here. Did it bring him through? Let's see what it says. When it says he brought him through. And that last one, it tells us about what happened there. When they were singing praise, and they said, try glory. Give God all the praise. Celebrate. When you wake up in the morning, what you ought to do? Celebrate. This thing is morning, somebody celebrate with the sun. You know, if you feel good in the morning and God does something for you, you ought to celebrate with the sun. I don't care how bad you sound like me, but you ought to celebrate with the sun because God wants to hear what you're saying to him. And how can he hear? Just go ahead and celebrate God. God don't care what tune you're in, A, F, B, or C. He just wants you to go ahead and sing to him. What are you singing from? Singing from the heart. When you singing from the heart, God will listen. I don't care how bad you say I sound. I know God didn't say, hey boy, you need to get on the beat. God said you can get in the FG. It don't matter with him. So all he wants you to do is just what? Celebrate him. This thing is to celebrate with the song. Most of them, they had something to celebrate with. We got something to celebrate too. Because we not where we were, but we're doing better. So we got something to celebrate. We ought to celebrate with the song. Every time that I sing, you ought to be praising God. Every time you sing, you ought to praise God. When they sing it, because you're dealing with it from your heart and you're dealing with the song. Now, anybody else have something to say? Man, here's the next one. If you believe that God dwells wherever his saints dwell, then do you engage in worship experience with others outside the physical church, sanctuary? Do you ever get out there and be talking to somebody? And sometimes, you know, you can talk to some people, things get look good to you. Sometimes I come out there and see Miss Trace out there. She be talking, you know, sometimes things get good to you. We get to talk about God's goodness, and people look at you crazy. But you know what God has done for you. So I don't care what nobody says. As long as you know that God brought you from where you were to where you are now. As long as you know when you were sick, God was right there. As long as you know when your children got wrong, God was still right there. You know, as long as you know. And what am I doing? I'm going to tell somebody. I'm going to tell somebody about the goodness of God. I can help you. When you ask me, God's still good. I know he's good. Why? Because I'm standing here. I look at my daughter and say, you know, it's good to be looked up and not look down. What is she saying? If you're looking down on me, I can't see you because you're in the catch. So what that? As long as I'm up, I can see you. That let me know that God is what? Still good. No matter how you shake that thing, he is still good. You know, anybody has something to say about that part? I'm doing all the talking. Man, if I'm doing all the talking, and we begin with the song, I think I'm gonna end with a song. And this song gonna go something like this. And I think this song way before its time, but it's gonna work. What does it say? Miss Cooks? Mr. Sam Cooks this morning. All right, Miss Cooks, give us love.
I will go, I will in a oh, just like a river, I'm in the rain. Yes, it's been a long time coming, but I know things don't come. Oh, yes, it will. It's been too hard living.
Hebrews.
And I'm afraid to die.
400 years of it.
I don't know what's going to be. Beyond the sky. It's been a long
That's way before their time. Sam, way before his time. But it's still, are we living in that change right now? Our change is still coming. You know, I kind of thought about that song and said, that song, and it fit them back there because they was enslaved, we was enslaved, but that change has come. And that's all I'm saying this morning.